On the commentary.
No, it's like Ryan was saying. It's a very, it's a good, it's very fraternal. Hung and his two roommates, Ryan and played by Ryan and Steve Zahn, are very, very close. And these two guys really live for the LARP. And my character Hung, maybe not the sharpest knife in the drawer. It's a lot to him. And he takes it maybe a little too seriously sometimes, where it sort of blurs the reality of his life.
With a little help, right?
With a little help from narcotics, which doesn't help in the long run, but yeah. So.
It's hard to see a real succubus when you see them everywhere.
He's irresponsible, very irresponsible.
But a hell of a swordsman, absolutely. I mean, actually, one of the things that was really amazing was when everybody came on to Spokane. We shot in Spokane, Washington last summer.
Okay.
Whenever we got there, everybody was like, being festooned with gift baskets, and they're like, when are we LARPing? So we had like a LARPing boot camp, and Adrian and Rick, who became our technical advisors, we had these like classes where everybody was sitting there with foam swords, learning all the rules, making sure that we were very, very strict to the rules and everything, and then they just went, okay, go play, go LARP, just spar. And watch Peter Dinklage smote every single cast member in one fell swoop and then be like, craft service. You're being honest, I can see your face, but he literally just went bop, 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 boop, bop, boop.
The double sword action.
It was amazing. And he's just like, boop, 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 Narnia, and just walked off. Everybody's got so into it. It was amazing. Like, just everybody, like, Danny would come over and be like, how does my hand need to be? If I'm a cleric, how does this end need to be, like, ever so right? And Steve would be like, how many lightning bolts need to be in my pouch? Hey, gotta give it up. I mean, we try to be as faithful to it as possible, but yeah, the Dinklage destroyed us all.
It's made of foam.
It still hurts!
You don't have to be safe. It's great. You just go crazy.
It hurt a lot.
There's no safety meeting.
Now, Margarita, you play the bad guy, right?
Yes, kind of.
You spend most of the movie wandering the woods in a blue prom dress with blood smeared on your mouth. How does the succubus end up in your form in that outfit?
Well, I mean, she gets invoked because my character is Joe's ex-girlfriend, Beth, that gets invoked into a succubus. So she takes the form of Beth, but it's a real-life succubus, which was quite extraordinary to play and a lot of fun.
So there are a lot of scenes of you ripping into people, chewing on their hearts. What does that taste like?
Sweet syrup and rubbery, gooey substance that I actually kind of quite got into. I mean,
in a figurative sense. In a figurative sense.
There was a heart I had to eat, and they gave it to me. And I ended up like biting through it, and the prop guys were like, what happened to the heart? And I was like, well, I ate it.
So then you get to the lunch break, and you're like, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm satisfied.
Some more of this. So what was the most fun thing you got to do apart from rip into the heart? Was there any particular part where you got to really monster out?
Well, I think just creating a creature that as an actor, you play certain roles you've seen before, but when you get to create a creature that you are not really familiar with and it's all of your own making, it's just a tremendous experience and using a lot of animal work, and it's fun.
There was a lot of growl training in that. It was like, should I growl or should it be And it was like,
there was some
a
growl.
little in between. A little in between. Actually, Margarita, one of the fun things about when Margarita would come on set as succubus, or succubeth, which is a very nice touch, was like on my last film I had a thing in my contract that said I needed to have a bucket of blood next to my chair so I could just start throwing blood on the screen. And here I was like, I'm going to put that bucket of blood away. We're making a very serious film here. It's an adventure film I need to preserve. And every time Margarita's like, more blood, put more blood in my mouth now. I'm like, get it in there now.
As a character, what can I say?
It was awesome.
Now, Danny, question for you. You play a character named Lando, correct?
Yeah, I play Lando.
If Lando invites you into a room for dinner, should you trust him?
It depends on who was in the room before you got there. That's what it meant. I think with Lando right away, you know, it's hard to not think right away, okay, rogue, thief, scoundrel. There are some of those similarities in the character. I think he's definitely out for himself. For me, it's like, I didn't really know too much about live action role playing until I got to Spokane, Washington, and I got to sit down with Adrian and a couple of the other folks, and she taught me the ropes in terms of what the points are and the cleric rules, which was great. And I think with Lando and this character, we never see where he lives. So I believe he lives in the woods. I believe this is all the man knows. This is all he's got. He's not even really friends with anybody. I mean,
He's the Henry David Thoreau of LARPers.
Yeah, except with terrible poetry skills. Not poetic whatsoever. But it was really fun to play, and I think it started with the wardrobe and a cast I got to get put in right away, which was a new experience for me too. No more spoiler alerts.
Now, Jimmy, your character Ronnie is another, I guess I'd call him another villain in the story, right? He's not as bad as the succubus, but who is he? How does he fit into this community?
He's a terrible man, I guess, you know.
Spoiler alert.
I play a lot of terrible men, generally, and but I wanted this guy to be different, so Joe and I discussed that he'd wear a headband, so he's a terrible man with a headband. And
First day on set, Jimmy came on and he's like, I'm thinking headband. And am I gonna say no? You know, I'm like, oh yeah, headband, that's great. He comes on and his hair, you know, you see him in the trailer, it's like, you know, doing, and he's got this kind of cowlick, and I'm like, perfect. And then I just learned now that Jimmy's own personal method, if you want to be your own Ronnie Kwok, find an old t-shirt, cut out the sleeve, throw it on your head, and you are now a game master. You're welcome.
He's the boss. He runs the show. Right? Everybody has to listen to.
Quack's the DM. That's Dungeon Master, to those who don't know. So he kind of runs the little LARPing world, and I think, you know, in most kind of LARPing circles, there's a guy who kind of maybe takes money out of his own pocket and gets the event going, and then hires his friends to kind of be the wranglers, and he's that guy. So he's a guy he's a little bit of a terrible man. So this is his chance to be, you know, king. And every weekend, you know, every couple of weekends he gets to do this, and this is a bad weekend to do this, but yeah.
He feels that there's a history with us that you exploit very much.
Yeah, I don't like Ryan's character.
Ryan, how does Joe feel about Ronnie?
Well, Ronnie's always been the kind of guy that lives and breathes this world. In the so-called real world, Ronnie, what would Ronnie do in the real world? Is it discussed?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. But in the LARPing world, like he said, he is king. But for Joe, this world is so unbelievably ridiculous that
I mean, in the real world, Joe is king because shit doesn't go. Actually, it's going right for you. But you're cool. And you have your
I guess it's ladies,
and then Kwok, on the other hand, this is finally his chance to kind of best you.
I'm glad you guys are working out your characters now. It's great. We've broken the arcs. Thank you. Cameras. Just keep rolling.
Well, as I understood it, though, actually, Ronnie's more like a god or a demigod, and Michael Gladys plays the king, right?
yeah.
So you get to make you're the king of a certain faction there. What's the group that he's the leader of?
Well, I'm the Red King, and
King Diamond.
King Diamond. If any of you get that.
No one gets that joke? No metal fans?
No metal bands? Actually, at the audition, I walked in and said I used to listen to Manowar in high school, and I was a LARPer in college, and I think that's how I got the role.
You get to make one of those great pre-dawn battle speeches. Like I'm thinking of the in the
Henry V.
pantheon,
It's
like Henry V or Bill Pullman in Independence Day. You know,
Right.
which part of the spectrum is he on?
Well, I think he's on the Henry V spectrum. Yeah, definitely. And that
That was an amazing day on set because we had all the LARPers out. They were all in a row. We were out there. We're going, oh my God, we're making Braveheart with foam swords. But then, and Gladys was like, I need a beard. Beard's got to happen. And they slapped a beard on him, and it was like falling off between takes. I'm like, go, this is great. And we had 3 cameras set up. You always need 3 cameras with the Gladys. And he just turned in. It was like he just turned into Orson Welles immediately, and he's just pouring. And it was a Friday night. And it was right before we wrapped, and you could just tell like all the LARPers are some of the guys who were actually back here, like Bearman, big part. You could just tell he's like, oh, and then we cut, and he's still going, oh, and it's all because Gladys just got everybody worked up. It really was a sight to behold.
It was pretty amazing, and to their credit, like those LARPers were the best scene partners in the world. I mean, they were right there with us, and they had so much energy, and they kept it all day long, and they're going to be the soul of the film in a lot of ways, I'm sure.
Were they there sort of like the Humane Society to monitor it, make sure that no LARPers were actually hurt in the making of this movie?
Oh God, no! We messed up a lot of LARPers, but they took it like champs. They were just like, oh yeah, dude, keep rolling, that's fine, But everybody just kept. Everyone kept showing up on set. Like Zahn one night, like we were all shooting, it was a day off, and it was a bunch of stuff going on, no spoilers. And all of a sudden, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and here comes Steve Zahn with a big bucket of cherries. He had gone out picking cherries on his day off, and he was walking around going, cherry, cherry, cherry. Would you like a cherry? How about a cherry? And then there's corpses going like, thank you. They're like, who does that? Everybody just wanted to be on set and just see what madness was happening next. And part of that was the LARPers themselves. We would be like, you're done. That's a wrap. That's what we say. You're done. And they were like, no, we're sticking it out for the long run. I mean, we had people coming from Florida and New York, all like everywhere, like all across the nation. People stayed the whole summer for us, and who we did kick them off, and their suits were awesome. So it was great. It kind of fueled everybody's fire.
So I understand that we have another clip.
Can we show?
Right?
Do you guys want to see another clip?
Joe, why don't you explain what we're about to see?
Well, this is a clip from Knights of Badassdom that it's the first time that Joe is being trained by Hung the skills of LARP. So that's pretty much the best description I can say for now. I don't want to give too much away.
Okay, well then let's dim the lights and we'll show. Joe, you talk a big game, but I understand that you didn't direct this movie alone.
No, I did not.
You had some help.
I had a co-director, but due to the DGA, I'm not allowed to credit.
Why don't you just reveal? Her name is Edith.
Yes.
This
is Edith. Here, hold on. There.
You directed with Edith at your side.
Yeah. When Adrian and Rick came out, one of the things that was so great about their involvement was they made a lot of the weapons. So every weapon that you see in the film is an actual LARP weapon. And while we were doing it, Rick was like, would you like a sword? I'm like, yes, I would. And I had this on set every day, and I named it Edith after my grandmother. I thought it was just right. But what we would do is every night, because we would literally, like, one of the things about production that's kind of tough is you go from doing days and then they make you kind of switch over to nights. So first couple nights everyone's just like, oh God, and it's tough. So you have to really kind of keep the crew and the cast, everybody really going. So at the end of the night, especially Friday nights, everyone would just be worked up into a tizzy, and I would just kind of raise the sword and be like, huzzah! And then shockingly everyone would be like, huzzah! We go home now. But yeah, this was my good luck charm the entire film, and she stays with me. I can't believe I actually got the blood out, which is pretty amazing.
Is it machine washable?
Yes, it is. Yes, true to form and machine washable. LARP Alliance. This one's for you.
Well, we're gonna open it up.